We're ready?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I've got 3 issues to deal with and talk about. One is the finance bill. Secondly is the Gen Z's, commemoration, the demonstrations that are going to take place on the 25th. And lastly was the issue of goonism. One, I want to thank the members of parliament, patriotic members of parliament, who are drawn across the political divide, who voted against the finance bill. It must be remembered that the majority of the members of parliament voted by their feet. They were not in the house when the vote was being taken. So if you add those numbers, the ones that took off during the vote, and the ones who voted against the bill, a minority of members of parliament actually passed the finance bill. The finance bill is a critical instrument for advancing and implementing government programs. And as you know, those who read history, the American Revolution was based on the mantra, no taxation without representation. So the very important duty of members of parliament is to make sure that at a time when the finance bill is being debated, or an appropriation bill or other financial instruments are being debated and passed in the House, is a paramount duty of every member of parliament to attend. And it's unfortunate that the majority of the members of parliament were not there during the vote. But I'm happy for the members of the Mwananchi team. All of them were there to vote against the finance bill. And this is taking place just about the time of the commemoration of the Gen Z's protests. And it is very saddening to see the members of parliament not thinking for a moment about the consequences of the finance bill. I urge the president, if at all I can persuade him, that knowing what has happened, that the majority of members of parliament did not vote for the finance bill, that he should reconsider his decision in assenting to the bill. Probably he should send back the bill to the House for a proper debate and a proper decision to be made by Parliament. Secondly, the issue of unlawlessness and goonism. About a month ago, 2 months ago, the Inspector General of Police said he was going to deal with the goonism, so to speak, firmly and decisively. From then on, we have witnessed many incidences of violence, state-sponsored violence, and you're saying without fear of contradiction that it's state-sponsored violence. Because how can it be that within a week, the All Saints Cathedral is attacked twice when there was a forum that was talking about the budget, and nothing has happened critically to bring those people to book. I plead with the president again, as a must. It's so easy to turn a state into a state of violence, where violence is the one that calls the day. An election held with the violence as one of the applicable parameters for holding the elections cannot result into a democratically elected government. We may easily go the way of Haiti. We may easily go the way of Tanzania in the next elections if this continues. But the fact of the matter is, and the Inspector General should answer this question, and the Minister in charge of internal security should answer this question. Why are they funding goons? Because it's quite clear, it is irrefutable that those who are being used as goons are essentially funded by the state. These incidences used to happen in the past during the Moi regime. You remember the Jeshi la Mzee, but it was not just a universal political operation, if I may put it that way, where violence becomes a means of persuading those you agree or disagree with. I know that in Kisumu, we had the violence meted against my friend and colleague, Senator Osotsi. Nothing much has happened to that. So we either choose to be a democratic and peaceful state, or rather become an autocratic dictatorship, a despotic regime where violence can be weaponized and used as a tool of ruling the country. So this must stop, and it doesn't really stop at the doors of the Inspector General or the Minister in charge of internal security, but also the President. He has spoken about it himself, and yet it's happening every day, even in his own backyard. We had this unfortunate incident where, you know, at a meeting, firearms were used. I think that was in Nakuru County. Thirdly, it should be noted that when we went to present the petition, and eventually when the mothers went to give notice to the police about the demonstrations that begin on the 25th, we were asked by the mothers, the parents, the relatives of those who were injured, those who were killed, those who had their property destroyed. We were asked to accompany them to to meet with the Inspector General as they handed over the petition. That's why the petition is in the name of the mothers, including the mother of Kennedy, a young child coming from this region. That's why the petition was in the name of Mama Rex, whose father comes from Siaya and the mother comes from Machakos. It was a petition presented by the mothers. The notice was also presented by the mothers. So the demonstrations on the 25th is a demonstration of commemoration called upon by these unfortunate mothers who lost their loved ones. I compare them to the mothers who were camping at Uhuru Park, you know, in honor and demanding the release of their sons who were detained. The mother of Koigi Wamwere, Mirigu Kariki, and you remember how the police attacked them at Uhuru Park. And then when they went to the church basement in Holy Family Cathedral, again they were attacked violently, tear gas and everything. So it should not be lost to the state that this is a petition and a demonstration called upon by the mothers, the grieving mothers. Secondly, they should not be, threatening and intimidating those who want to hold demonstrations. You know, the president talks as if Kenya is a monarchy. We know when somebody goes to give a notice of a demonstration, that demonstration is being given in accordance with the law. And there is a requirement under the law that if somebody gives a notice, the police are required to give protection and protect the rights of those who are demonstrating. So the question about destruction of property is a matter which the police have a duty to make sure that a thing like that happens. A thing like that doesn't happen, that nobody is injured, that nobody is killed. And going by what happened in 2024, everybody was killed by the police. It was not killed by they were not killed by ordinary Kenyans. They were killed by the police. So it is their responsibility. It's the responsibility of President Ruto to make sure that these demonstrations take place in accordance with the law. and that security is provided and peace is observed. We urged, like the mothers did, those who listened to what Mother Kennedy said. She said that the 25th and then the next day, the 26th, should be a public holiday. If you can commemorate the day Kenyatta was arrested and detained, I mean, in the past, we had Kenyatta Day. What about on a day when nearly more than 50 young people were killed brutally by the police? So our call for the public to give respect to the departed, to the injured, and those who lost their property or their property damage, that day becomes a public holiday. There's nothing wrong with that in a democracy. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm calling upon Kenyans, as a matter of respect, I am pleading with the Kenyans to either take part in the demonstrations or mark that day from their homes, so that we show the entire world that Kenya cannot live in a situation where impunity is not punished. And that is seen by the fact that the way this issue of compensation is being handled, instead of accountability and justice as a paramount requirement, they are putting a price tag on every death. If you go to court and you lose, a person by way of an accident, or there's a malicious prosecution, or a policeman kills somebody and you go in a civil court and sue, you're most likely going to get damages of 20 or 30 million shillings. I know a lot of people have represented. Some of them were detained. I know some of them got away with 30 million shillings, 50 million shillings. I have represented people in courts out of a traffic accident, not a fatal one, and they get away with 20, 30 million shillings. By this arrangement, those who lost their loved ones, if they get about 3 million shillings for the loss of a young man like Ojwang, I don't think that is adequate compensation. In law, justice and accountability is also important, but in awarding compensation, that compensation should also be just. And what the government is proposing to do will not lead to a just compensation for those who are killed, or those who lost their property, or those who are injured. I rest my case.
Question.
Yeah.
You've addressed three issues which are kind of interlinked. Goonism, finance bill, and the Commemoration, which is the demos on Thursday. Are you not concerned that goons may take over your demonstrations on Thursday and turn it into another anti-finance bill protest?
No. Goons will never represent a legitimate cause. Goons take part in causes for which they are paid for. Those who are against the finance bill will come out to demonstrate out of convictions. That's what I believe. We demonstrated by walking from a point in town in Nairobi some days ago to the IG to show that we could do that peacefully, without goons, without violence. And if there are goons of the 25th, certainly I don't think Mama Kennedy or Mama Rex or Mama Erickson will be in a position to mobilize goons. And you saw them, they were there leading in the front. I was holding Mama Erickson's hand as we walked to the IG's office. So if there are goons, those would be state-sponsored goons. And for us, it is the mothers in front, the relatives in front, and we hope the members of the public will join in this cause that is you know, of great national importance.
Governor, just very tight to that, appeal to Kenyans actually to come and participate in these protests. Just on that very brief, can you just also speak a message to Kenyans, even as they come out to participate in these protests, they observe peace?
Yes, obviously that is important. I am appealing to Kenyans, and I'm appealing on behalf of the families, the bereaved families, the people who lost their properties, got their relatives injured. I'm appealing on their behalf that demonstration that will take place on the 25th should be peaceful. And you remember, even during the Gen Z's protest, the initial protests, which were massive, they've never been seen before in this country, they were peaceful until they entered the second and third day, when there was intrusion or interference by the members of the you know, police, and goons were hired to participate. And you know, as we speak, even me, I've been a victim of goons. Just the other day when I was going to Homa Bay, my convoy was attacked by goons. We didn't respond in kind. We just drove away back to Kisumu and sent people to go and get the people who were injured on the spot to hospital here in Kisumu. So I would not at the same time entertain any situation in which violence creeps in during the demonstrations. In the old days when we used to do demonstrations, members of the public always waited for us until we arrived, is when they would now start walking. If you look at old clips of demonstrations that were taking place in the early 80s or even late 70s, you'll find that the leaders, you know, were always in front of the demonstrations. And that was because there was a fair kind of atmosphere, although this was a kind of regime of, you know, observing the rights of those who were demonstrating. So I appeal again that please be peaceful and remember the mothers. This is for the mothers who lost their children.
As a rejoinder to that, there are some government-allied members of parliament who have accused a section of the political class, of course, people such as yourselves, of trying to hijack the memorial for political mileage. What would be your response to that? We
are not hijacked. That's what I was saying at the beginning, that the petitions are not in our hands. The notices are not in our hands. We did not organize them to go to Njogo House. They appealed to us to accompany them to Njogo House. And some of us have tried to keep in touch with the families. I have gone right up to Machakos to visit the family of Rex Masai. Erickson was the other person who was killed in the demonstrations, comes about a mile from the way from the home of Rex Masai. I have visited Mama Kennedy, and in Siaya, during the demonstrations, we lost a lot of people based in Nairobi, here in Kisumu, in Busia, in Nakuru, and we had to go to their homes during the burials, and we are in touch with some of those families.
Governor, finally, some members of parliament from this region, I think the Homa Bay member of town parliament, I've seen some video going around, pleading or urging the police to deal decisively with the planners of the demos. I don't know whether...
You know, the message there by that MP was, you know, beat them, shoot them, kill them. That was the message. And I was hoping to hear from that PS, you know, a counter message saying that we are not going to beat people who are going to carry out demonstrations peacefully. But instead there was total silence. We have appealed even to the national government that really, if you care about the incident that happened 2 years ago, there should have been a public apology, proper public apology, in terms of a written statement that can be documented and kept in our archives, so that nobody will ever repeat an incident like that one. We remember